All right, I'm here, and it looks like it's past 11 o'clock. Sorry about that. Jennifer can tell you that I was just in the other class, and we only finished about 15 minutes ago, and I took a break. Ran over and bought my bag of potato chips, but notice they're not opened yet, so I haven't even opened them to eat on them after I did run over to the other building and got them. I also picked up a copy of last week's newspaper that my picture was in a couple of times. So I've got y'all marked, all three of you marked as here. We start chapter 3 this week, I believe, if I'm thinking schedule correct. Let me look at the calendar to make sure. And yes, chapter 3 starts now, and it's due in 2 weeks. All right, so I'm going to quick open up where I can see the chat, which there's a whole lot in there. So let's go over a couple of things first, and then I'm going to go through, mention a couple of things on the chapter. Email yesterday I didn't see until today. Yesterday turned out to be a very busy day for me. I had to help a friend out that was actually helping out her niece that was in Charlotte, North Carolina, and she needed to get to Charlotte, North Carolina real quick for an emergency yesterday, and I volunteered and drove her up there. That was right after I had gotten home from church. So that took the whole afternoon, evening. I got back in at midnight last night. So I did not do anything with school yesterday because yesterday morning was church stuff, and I did get and Saturday I spent 3 hours there also trying to get Facebook working again. Chrome's got an issue with it. And it's the only place you can stream on. It's using Chrome. And Chrome doesn't like the fact of how I've got a camera set up there. All right, you can see Heather is joining us now, so let me add her to the list. So that was that. Today is a long, full day for me too, but I spent 5 hours grading, actually 2451 assignments on Saturday. I got their first assignment completely graded. There was something like 48 submissions, and I got through all of them. So now, and I have not graded y'all's first assignment yet, I realize, but y'all are next. You're either next on the list or the following one. And there's only a couple of students in the other class. So I should get to y'all, I hope, in the next couple of days, but I got to do discussions. I haven't done the discussion that was due last Monday yet. And obviously we've got a discussion due today. And I haven't written my newspaper article that I was supposed to write last night either. I didn't get that done because that's normally done on Sunday night, and that sort of disappeared too. I know what I'm going to write it on. That's the hardest part most weeks now. Because I'm actually going to write about the hexadecimal, decimal, and binary number systems. Why do we use them? Dealing with computers. Maybe that's my title. That's that. And today I've got these all day till somewhere around 3 o'clock. The last one starts at 2. And then I'm supposed to go to Rome to the Floyd campus to meet a student and help a student down there shortly after 4 o'clock. So depending on how quick I get through, depends on how quick I get down to there. And I've got to get gas in my car today too before I can go down there. Because I drove in from Greenville, South Carolina, was the last gas stop I made. And my gas meter is down at a quarter tank or lower, and it drops rapidly in the bottom half of the tank. So I have to do that as I go to leave too. So I have answered everything up to date, and that'll be full day today. Tomorrow I got classes all day, and actually stuff at another school tomorrow evening, and then Wednesday will be a chance to work on everything. So, and then I've got some other things I've got to work on outside too. So that'll be the way this week will go. And now in chapter 3, you're finally using SQL Server. So, so I assume we'll see her leave and come back. I guess she's already, I think she hasn't left yet. Okay. So at this point, I guess give her a chance to see if she could get back in without going too far. All right. So at this point, you are doing the SQL Server. I have a link out there for you where you can get it from off of my OneDrive page. I've got that posted in the assignment, I believe in the announcements, and in the chapter 3 folder also. So it's posted several places. I just posted it again this morning. In chapter 3, you are actually doing the stuff in SQL Server, and I want you to use SQL Server. There is 7 steps, I believe, there that you do, or 7 items you do. I'm not exactly sure how to label those things. I think all in items. So you've got all 7 to do. And that you're going to be typing in commands and then printing the screens. Make sure you include the taskbar with the date on the bottom of the screen when you print it. Okay, and you're not using virtual machines, you're just installing SQL Server Express and running it. After you do step 4, because step 1 and 2, they have you go out there, create a database, stick a record in it, and then they have you delete it. Actually create a database and a table, stick a record in the table, and then you delete the whole thing out. And then they turn around and have you install your tables in the database that you're going to be using for the rest of the book. That's a little weird. At that point in step 3 and in believe step 4, but after you get through step 4, because that's when you've got it all set up now correctly, then that's where I want you to change. Yeah, step 4 is actually running the scripts. Step 3 is deleting those tables they had you to build, and steps 1 and 2 they just had you stick a couple of records out there so that you see how to do it. And then step 4 they have you run scripts that will actually create the tables and fill all the information into them. Okay, and that you don't have to do it all. So when you get through with step 4, I've got included in there that I want you to change the name of Johnson's Department Store to your name, Department Store. And I tell you that, and I give you the command of what it is, except for it's got Watts Department Store in there because Watts my last name. And that you need to put your last name there instead. So if your last name was Smith, you put Smith's Department Store. If your last name happened to be Watt, which none of it is in the class, you would put the Watts Department Store also. So put whatever your last name is instead of Johnson. Okay. And I've got steps there for you. I tell you that actually it's pulling from later in the book of what the command we're pulling in, but I want you to go ahead and do it now. And so I actually give you the full command, but I tell you it's over on page 170, I think it is where the command actually is introduced to you if you want to look more at it. But I give you the exact command you're going to run. That will get your name in the listings whenever you're printing things out of the database. Your name will be appearing in there, and that lets me know that it's your work. Okay. So those are on there. So I did make a couple of little tiny changes to what's in my notes this morning. I changed that very slightly also, trying to make it a little clearer because I had some one or two questions on that first thing. And then, so you're going to go through and do all of those. Now, when you do step 7, that one you're having to do a little thinking beyond what you're doing. The others, you're pretty much just along through the chapter on doing it. Although when you get to 4, that is following there, and yeah, you follow right on along. Then 5 and 6, you're just doing commands to be able to display it all out and make sure it's all there. And that you look back to chapter 1, or it shows in chapter 3 also, of what the data actually looks like. Questions for me on it. So you are going to just be creating, and then you are going to be doing some select there to display information. You're not going to use the describe command to see how the data is created. It's not seeing the data, but you're actually seeing how the table is actually set up. In SQL Server, there is a note on page 87 that tells you you'll use an exe command instead of describe to do what describe is, which I believe that that's actually step 5. Okay. All right. Questions for me on it. And then I will try to get y'all stuff that posted out there that y'all attended today soon. I really had a great discussion from last week. I do have those of you that attended last week, your grade is in there for last week for the week 4 discussion. This one today counts for week 5 discussion. Any questions for me on that? Or on the chapter or anything? Okay, and I realize this is day 1 of 2 weeks you get to work on it, so you really don't have much question about what you're doing yet. But now you're actually doing SQL, is what you're actually going to start doing in chapter 3. So you're through with doing all the paper exercises. Now you're going to actually do it on the computer, which is what y'all came in to do. But you had to learn how databases are set up and how they work, and normalization is something you really needed to know. So those were important things for you to learn also. Because if you talk with database people out there, they're going to expect you to know something about normalization also. Any other questions? The rest of y'all need to speak up also, because there's 2 others of you I have not heard in here yet. So make sure you type something in the chat box too. Okay. Because I really do need to see it have posted in there for the school's requirements that y'all are posting stuff in there. So besides, I need to know that y'all really are hearing me. And so, okay, that sounds good on it then. If there's not any other questions, we'll wrap this one up a little bit quicker. I'll see what Heather is typing in now, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. And speaking of the recordings, I will be transferring over into the other spot instead of you having to hunt for it and collaborate. I don't know when. I'm trying to work on those. I really worked on them hard in the 2451 because I've actually got lectures out there for them because they got real classes. So I started working with theirs, and so hopefully I can start transferring y'all's also. Downloading the recording, uploading to YouTube, and then posting there in the I don't have a link there yet for it, but there will be an extra link that will show up as video recordings and collaborate recordings or something to that effect. And that's where I'm going to actually put them. Those will actually be ADA compliant because they'll have closed captioning, which YouTube does automatically for people. And if you've tried to watch them in Collaborate, the recording, it is not closed caption, just like this is not closed caption live. All right, I am going to go ahead and let y'all go. It's almost 20 after. And I don't think I see any of y'all the rest of the day anymore. Jennifer I had twice today. I got a few others in the afternoon that were in another class this morning. Because 2451, I've got several in there that were in 2601 also. All right, we'll have this as scheduled again next week, same time, and probably y'all have a few more questions for me. But if y'all run into any problems, have any questions along the way, drop me emails during the week on it, and I'm answering emails normally every day. This weekend was a little bit of exception. Friday I was offline a little bit on Friday, and then Sunday, like I told you, that I didn't get a chance to do any of that. I was in the car all over the place. All right, I'm stopping.